Hello and welcome to a Talmud Israeli production. Today we'll review the highlights of this week's course of Daf Yomi study, Masechet Gittin, pages 19 through 25, Yud through Chav. 19. Edim she'ein yodim likrot. What happens if witnesses don't know how to read? Well, they're signing off on a document, but they have to know what's in that document. Korin lifneihem v'chotmim. Other people will read the content of the document and explain it to them, and then these witnesses will sign. Amar Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel. When does this hold true? When do we allow this relaxed standard? Only with divorce documents. However, writs of emancipation for Canaanite slaves, and other types of documents, if witnesses do not know how to both read it and sign it, if they do know how, that we will allow them to sign. But if they don't know how to do that, if they can't read or sign, we can't let them sign. Amar Rabbi Lazar, my time to Shimon Gamliel. So why does Shimon Gamliel relax the standards specifically for divorce documents, but not other areas of the law? Yisrael agunot, because we do not want to create the daughters of Israel, turn them into agunot, chained women. So if there's a scenario where a divorce needs to be executed right now, and the only available witnesses are people who are basically illiterate, but we have to do it now lest she become an aguna because the husband disappear, we will do it with the lesser standard of witnesses. 20. Daf Chaf. Tanu Rabbanan. Harei ze gitech v'haniyar sheli. If the husband says to the woman, behold, this is your divorce document, but the paper belongs to me. And she's not divorced, because he has to give her the paper. It has to be her possession. On condition that you return the paper to me, meaning it's yours momentarily or for a little while, but you have to give it back to me. Harezu mugureshet. Behold, she is divorced. Then we ask a question. Rav Papa asks a question, sort of a silly question. Ben shita l'shita, ben teva l'teva. What happens if the husband insists upon retaining the paper between the rows or between the letters of the words? Does that work? Is that kosher? Is that good enough of a giving over of the document to the woman? Teku, we don't have a direct answer. Chaf Aleph 21. Davar hakoret beino leveina. When the Torah says that you have to give a sefer kritut if you want to divorce your wife, if a man wants to divorce his wife, it has to be something which separates between him and her. Koret beino leveina. Hidetanya, as we have the following braita. Harei zegitech almanat shelo tishti yain. Behold, this is your divorce on condition that you do not drink wine. Or that you not go home to, you do not go home to your father's house le'olam, forever. So if he wants to have a hold over the woman, his soon-to-be ex-wife, with regard to her drinking habits or her traveling habits, that is not a full separation. Ein ze kritut. They're not divorced because they're not really separated. However, if the condition stipulates that her behavior is restricted for only 30 days, that is kritut. That is considered a separation, and the get is valid. Daf Chaf Bet. Hakol kesherin l'ktovet haget. Anyone is kosher to write a get, afilu, including the following atypical categories: afilu cheresh, a deaf mute; shota, a deranged person; and katan, a minor below bar mitzvah. Ordinarily, these people are exempt from mitzvot, are not considered full-fledged participants in society. So the Gemara asks, Halav b'nei deyaninu, how could we allow them to write a get? They don't have sound mind. The Gemara answers, Bigadol omeid al gabav. There is an adult supervising their activity. And so yes, they don't have deya, they don't have knowledge, but there's a competent adult making sure everything goes okay. Daf Chaf Gimel. Hakol keshen laviyat get. Everyone is kosher to be a delivery person for the get. Chutz, except for cheresh, a deaf mute; shoteh, a deranged person; katan, a minor; suma, a blind person; uved kochavim, or a heathen, a non-Jew. Kibel katan v'igdil. What happens if a minor received the get and before he made the delivery he became bar mitzvah? He got old enough. Cheresh v'tapeach, or he was a deaf mute who then was healed and now is a able-bodied person. Or he was blind and now he has vision. Or he was deranged and now he's normal, he's lucid. A non-Jew converted to Judaism. So in all these scenarios where the reason for their disqualification has disappeared prior to their execution of the delivery, what's the halacha? The answer is pasul, invalid. Get is not kosher. אבל פיקח ונסחרש בחז ונתפקח, פתוח ונסתמה בחז ונתפתח, שפה ונשטה בחז ונשתפה. However, if the person was perfectly capable and then became blind, but then regained their sight, or was lucid, then became deranged, and then became lucid again, or whatever, they were able-bodied, became disabled in terms of deaf mute, and now are able-bodied again. In all these scenarios, it's kosher. Zaklal, this is the general rule. Kol shitklasav sofa ba'adat kasher, as long as the beginning and the end, meaning the giving of the get from the husband to the agent, to the emissary, and then from the agent to the woman, if long as both of those situations, the beginning and end of the process, happen when the person is of sound mind and sound body, it's good, it's kosher. The fact there was a problem in between, we can ignore it. Daf Chavdal, 24. Kol get shnichtav shelo l'shum isha pasul. If the get was written not for the sake of this woman, it's invalid. Ketzad. What's an example? Haya over bashuk. If a person was passing through the marketplace, v'shama kol sparim makrin, and they heard sound of a sofer writing, and ish ploni migash ish as plonis. So and so is divorcing so and so, makam ploni, from such and such a place. And the guy says, "Hey, that's my name, and that's my wife's name, and that's where we live." Still, that document is not kosher to be used for this man's particular divorce. Another example. What happens if a man has two wives and they both have the same name? If he had in mind to divorce the older woman with that divorce document, he cannot then change his mind and use it for the younger woman, even though the wording on the page would have been exactly the same, since in his mind it was for the one person, it can't now be used for another person. And if the husband says to the sofer, you write whatever you want to write, and I'll use it to divorce whichever one, doesn't work. It has to have been intended by the husband to use this divorce document for a specific person. We don't give the discretion to the lablar, to the sofer. Chafei, 25. Ha'omer labanav. Hareini shochet al Pesach al mishel mikamisha Yerushalayim. It's Erev Pesach. And a father tells his kids, I'm going to slaughter the Paschal lamb on behalf of not only myself, but also the first one of you, my children, who crosses the threshold of Jerusalem very first. In other words, there's a race, a competition to see who's going to get there first, and whoever wins, you're part of my Korban Pesach. What happens? As soon as the first one enters the city, not only does that particular son become registered with the father for the Paschal lamb, but all the other children do as well. What happened here? Wasn't there a competition to only include one and not the others? The answer is the father was just trying to get them to be quick and punctilious in their observance of mitzvot. Show up on time. Don't be late. Don't dilly-dally. But he never intended to exclude any of his children. Everyone have a great week.